Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. Success doesn't start with money. It doesn't start with talent. It doesn't even start with opportunity. It begins with discipline. Discipline is the foundation that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers. You can dream all day long, but if you don't have the discipline to get up every morning, show up and put in the work, then that dream is just going to stay a dream. Success begins where discipline starts, not where talent ends. Many people believe success is built on natural ability, on being born with a gift that others don't have. But the truth is that gifts without discipline turn into wasted potential. Discipline is the true starting point because it transforms what you already have into something greater. A person can have all the talent in the world, but if they lack discipline, that talent sits dormant, never reaching its full capacity. On the other hand, a person with average ability but strong discipline will often surpass the naturally gifted because discipline is the engine that keeps moving forward when talent alone stalls. Discipline creates habits, and habits shape the direction of your life. Think about athletes for a moment. The greatest athletes are not just the most talented, they are the most disciplined. The ones who show up before practice starts, who stay after everyone else leaves, who repeat the same drills hundreds of times, even when they're tired, even when they've already mastered the basics. Those are the ones who rise to the top. Their success is not defined by talent alone, but by the discipline to refine their craft daily. The same principle applies in every area of life. A disciplined student will outperform a naturally gifted one who does not study. A disciplined entrepreneur will outlast a talented dreamer who never puts action behind their vision. Discipline is the foundation that allows you to build consistency, and consistency is the bridge between goals and achievement. Without discipline, you will quit when it gets hard. You will stop when obstacles show up. You will settle when distractions look easier than your path. Discipline trains your mind to keep going even when the circumstances are not ideal. It teaches you that success is not about waiting for perfect conditions, but about acting despite imperfection. Success begins at that moment when you stop making excuses and start making consistent efforts, no matter how small they seem. People often underestimate the power of small daily disciplines. Reading a few pages a day, saving a little money consistently, practicing a skill for just an hour daily. These actions don't look impressive at first, but over time they compound into massive results. Success doesn't happen overnight. It grows out of disciplined action stacked day after year, year after year. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it is powerful because it ensures that you're planting seeds today that will grow into a harvest tomorrow. Without it, you will always wait for luck or chance, but with it, you create your own opportunities. Another truth about discipline is that it protects you from yourself. We're all tempted to take shortcuts, to follow distractions, to procrastinate. Without discipline, those temptations control your life. But with discipline, you gain control over your impulses and decisions. Discipline is what makes you stay home and work on your goals instead of wasting time. It is what makes you say no to immediate comfort so you can say yes to long-term success. It is what keeps you moving toward your purpose, even when everyone else around you chooses an easier path. Discipline also builds resilience. When you train yourself to follow through on commitments, you strengthen your ability to face challenges. Life will not always go as planned, but discipline keeps you from giving up when things get tough. A disciplined mind sees setbacks as lessons, not reasons to quit. A disciplined spirit understands that progress is made step by step, not in giant leaps. When you build a habit of discipline, failure does not break you because you've already trained yourself to get back up, try again, and keep moving. Success begins where discipline starts, because it is discipline that keeps the flame of ambition alive. Talent might give you a head start, but discipline ensures you finish the race. Dreams might inspire you, but discipline turns those dreams into reality. When you discipline your mind, your body, and your habits, you unlock a version of yourself that is stronger, more focused, and more capable than you ever imagined. Discipline is not about perfection, but about progress, about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, about showing up for yourself every single day. Discipline outlasts motivation because discipline shows up when feelings don't. Motivation is powerful, but it is temporary. It comes and goes like the wind. And if your success depends only on feeling motivated, you will never build anything that lasts. There will be mornings when you don't want to get out of bed, when the alarm feels like your enemy, when your body and mind beg you to take the easy road. That is when motivation fails you, because motivation depends on emotion. Discipline, however, does not ask how you feel. Discipline does not care if you're tired, if you're uninspired, if you're uncomfortable. Discipline demands action regardless of emotion. And that is why it outlasts motivation every single time. Think of how many times people start something with excitement. They start a new job, a fitness plan, a project, or a business idea, and at first they are motivated. They are full of energy, talking about how this is their moment, how they will change everything. But then life happens. The first obstacle shows up, the excitement fades, and suddenly the motivation that felt so strong is nowhere to be found. This is where most people quit, because they were relying on feelings instead of discipline. Discipline is what allows you to keep going after the fire of motivation dies out. It is what separates those who achieve from those who give up. Discipline is a commitment, not a feeling. When you commit to discipline, you commit to showing up whether you are in the mood or not. You commit to finishing what you start even when the journey becomes boring or difficult. Discipline is steady. It is not loud or flashy like motivation, but it is dependable. It is the silent force that keeps you on track when everything inside you wants to stop. Success belongs to people who understand that emotions cannot dictate their actions, because emotions are inconsistent, but discipline creates consistency, and consistency creates results. Motivation can get you started, but discipline keeps you moving. Motivation may push you into the gym on the first day, but discipline is what gets you there on the 100th day when no one is cheering for you. Motivation may spark a new idea in your mind, but discipline is what forces you to stay up late, study, research, and grind until that idea becomes a reality. Motivation may bring excitement, but discipline brings achievement. The truth is, your goals don't care how you feel. Your goals don't care if you're tired, if you're not in the mood, if life feels unfair. Your goals require work, and discipline is what delivers that work consistently. Discipline also teaches you control over yourself. It allows you to separate short-term comfort from long-term gain. Without discipline, you chase after what feels good right now and sacrifice what matters most later. With discipline, you understand that saying no to distractions today means saying yes to success tomorrow. Motivation might give you the energy to resist temptation for a while, but discipline builds the strength to resist it every time. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes, and the easier it is to rely on it when motivation disappears. Another reason discipline outlasts motivation is because it becomes a habit. Motivation has to be renewed over and over, but discipline, once built, carries you forward automatically. When you train yourself to wake up early, to put in the hours, to do the work, it becomes second nature. You no longer wait for inspiration. You rely on discipline as a system. Successful people are not successful because they are always motivated. They are successful because they build habits through discipline that carry them when their emotions are weak. Motivation is like a spark. But discipline is the steady flame that keeps burning no matter how the wind blows. The difference between the successful and the unsuccessful is not that one is always motivated and the other is not. The difference is that the successful understand that discipline matters more than feelings. They act whether they are motivated or not. They know motivation is useful but unreliable, and they place their faith in discipline because it shows up every day. Discipline is the reason people finish marathons, build businesses, write books, transform their health, and change their lives. Motivation may get you to the starting line, but discipline is what carries you across the finish line. Saying no to distractions is saying yes to your future. Every person is given the same 24 hours in a day, but the way those hours are spent determines the direction of life. Distractions come in many forms, and most of them look harmless at first. They may come as endless scrolling on social media, spending time with people who drain your energy, wasting hours on entertainment instead of education, or chasing temporary pleasures instead of long-term goals. The danger of distractions is that they steal your time silently. You don't always notice their cost until months or years have passed and you look back realizing how much progress you could have made if you had focus. Every minute you give to a distraction is a minute you take away from your destiny. When you say no to distractions, you are not just rejecting something meaningless, you are actually making space for something greater. Success requires focus, and focus requires the courage to turn away from the noise around you. People often underestimate how powerful a distraction can be. A single bad habit, repeated daily, can delay your dreams for years. A single toxic influence in your circle can hold you back from your potential. A single lack of focus can cause you to miss opportunities that could change your life. Saying no is not always easy, but it is necessary. Every no to distraction is a yes to clarity, growth, and purpose. It takes discipline to recognize that distractions don't just waste time, they shape the person you become. Your habits become your identity. If you spend your hours on distractions, you are shaping a future that is unfocused and unprepared. But if you discipline yourself to say no, you are shaping a future of strength, progress, and achievement. The problem is that distractions often look more attractive than discipline in the moment. Watching a show feels easier than studying. Sleeping in feels more comfortable than exercising. Hanging out with unmotivated people feels more fun than working on your goals. But what feels good now often costs you later. What feels difficult now usually rewards you later. The future version of you will thank you for the sacrifices you make today. Saying no to distractions requires vision. You must be able to see beyond the present moment and understand what is truly at stake. When you know where you want to go, you become more protective of your time and energy. Vision gives you the strength to resist the things that seem harmless, but actually rob you of progress. Without vision, distractions will always win because you will not see the value of what you are sacrificing. With vision, you begin to measure every choice against your future. Does this bring me closer to my goal or pull me further away? That question becomes the filter through which you decide how to spend your time. It is important to understand that not all distractions are external. Some distractions come from within. Doubt, fear, procrastination, and negative self-talk are powerful internal distractions that can paralyze you. Learning to say no to these inner voices is just as important as saying no to the external noise. When your mind is clear, your actions become aligned with your goals. Every time you reject self-doubt, you say yes to courage. Every time you reject fear, you say yes to progress. Every time you reject procrastination, you say yes to productivity. The world is full of people who had talent, ambition, and dreams, but allowed distractions to pull them away from their calling. They got lost in comfort, in entertainment, in relationships that did not support their growth. Distractions don't always destroy your life in one moment. They slowly eat away at your potential until you settle for less than you were meant to be. But the opposite is also true. When you discipline yourself to say no consistently, you create momentum. Each no makes you stronger, more focused, and more committed. Each no brings you closer to the yes that matters. The yes to your goals, your vision, your future. Saying no to distractions is not about living without joy or denying yourself every pleasure. It is about choosing wisely, prioritizing what matters, and protecting the limited time you have. It is about deciding that your future is worth more than temporary comfort. It is about understanding that discipline is freedom because it frees you from the chains of distraction and gives you control over your destiny. Every great achievement is built on the ability to stay focused. Every extraordinary life is created by ordinary moments of saying no to what doesn't matter and yes to what does. Discipline is consistency in action even when no one is watching. True discipline is not about performing when the spotlight is on or when applause is guaranteed. It is about showing up every single day regardless of who notices, regardless of recognition, and regardless of instant rewards. Success is not built in front of an audience. It is built in the quiet hours when you are alone with your work, your grind, and your choices. The habits you create in private eventually show up in public. If you only perform when someone is watching, you are motivated by approval. If you remain consistent when no one is watching, you are motivated by purpose. Consistency is what turns effort into progress. Doing something once with intensity does not create lasting change, but repeating it day after day creates transformation. A person who goes to the gym one time with all their energy will not change their body, but a person who goes consistently, even with smaller effort each time, will see their body transform over time. The same applies to every area of life. Consistency is the multiplier of discipline. Each repeated action strengthens your skill, your character, and your resilience. When you remain disciplined, even without validation, you prove to yourself that your commitment is real. There's a powerful truth about consistency. It compounds. Just like money grows with compound interest, disciplined actions grow when they are repeated. Reading for 20 minutes each day might not seem impressive, but over a year it adds up to hours of knowledge. Writing a little every day may not look like much, but over time it becomes a book. Practicing a skill for an hour each day may not feel like progress at first, but after years, you become an expert. Consistency is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary results because what you lack in talent or opportunity, you can make up for in discipline. Remaining disciplined when no one is watching also builds integrity. It proves that you are not doing it for show, but because you value growth. Many people crave recognition, but true achievers crave results. Results don't require applause. They require effort. You cannot cheat the grind because the grind always shows the truth. If you cut corners when no one is looking, the results will expose it. If you stay disciplined in silence, success will reveal it. What you do in the dark will eventually come to light. And discipline ensures that what comes to light is something you can be proud of. Discipline also protects you from inconsistency caused by emotions. If your actions depend on whether people notice or praise you, you will always stop when the applause stops. Discipline anchors you so that your actions are steady, not controlled by outside validation. This steadiness is what builds momentum. Momentum does not come from random bursts of effort, but from small, consistent actions over time. It is the person who shows up every day who eventually breaks through, not the one who only shows up when they feel like it. When no one is watching, discipline is often harder because the temptation to quit is greater. No one will call you out, no one will judge you, and no one will see your laziness. But this is exactly why discipline matters most in private. Success is not about proving others wrong. It is about proving yourself right. It is about knowing that you are capable of following through on your word, even when no one else is holding you accountable. This private discipline builds confidence because you learn to trust yourself. You begin to believe in your ability to stay consistent no matter the circumstances. And that belief carries into every part of your life. The quiet discipline of consistency is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Dreams are exciting to share, but they mean nothing without the daily grind that supports them. Discipline may not feel glamorous, but it is what brings the dream into reality. Every time you choose consistency, you are building a foundation brick by brick. It may not look like much today, but in time, it becomes unshakable. Others may only see the finished structure, but you will know it was built on countless hours of disciplined action when no one was watching. Talent might open doors, but discipline is what keeps you in the room. Many people rise quickly because of their natural abilities, their charisma, or the opportunities they are given, but without discipline, those opportunities are wasted. Talent can get you noticed, but it cannot sustain success on its own. Discipline is the force that allows you to remain steady, to build credibility, and to earn respect long after the initial excitement about your talent fades. Success is not about how fast you start, but about how strong you continue. And continuing requires discipline. There are countless examples of talented individuals who failed to reach their full potential because they lacked discipline. They had everything they needed to succeed, but could not control their habits, their choices, or their actions. Their talent gave them a head start, but without discipline, they could not finish the race. On the other hand, history is filled with people of average talent who achieved greatness because they relied on discipline. They showed up, put in the hours, and refined their craft until they surpassed those who were once more gifted than them. Discipline is the equalizer that allows consistency to outshine raw ability. When talent gets you into the room, people expect results. Talent might earn you the opportunity, but discipline is what produces those results consistently. It is not enough to impress once. You must be able to perform again and again. Discipline is what keeps you sharp, humble, and willing to improve. It prevents you from becoming complacent because talent alone can make you arrogant. But discipline reminds you that there is always more work to do. Without discipline, talent can fade, but with discipline, talent is maximized and multiplied. Discipline also builds reliability, and reliability is what keeps people trusting you. No matter how talented you are, if people cannot rely on you to show up, to follow through, or to stay committed, they will stop giving you opportunities. The world rewards consistency, and consistency comes from discipline. People are impressed by talent, but they depend on discipline. Discipline makes you dependable, and dependability is a greater asset than talent because it builds long-term trust. Talent may give you an advantage, but discipline develops character, and character is what sustains success. Talent can make people admire you, but discipline makes people respect you. Respect is earned by those who continue to grow, who remain humble, and who work hard regardless of their natural gifts. When you have discipline, you understand that talent is only the beginning, not the end. Discipline teaches you that every skill can be sharpened, every ability can be improved, and every opportunity can be expanded. The truth is that doors open all the time, but staying inside the room requires more than what got you there. Discipline keeps you prepared so that when opportunity arrives, you are ready not just to take it, but to hold it. It keeps you focused when distractions tempt you. It keeps you grounded when success tries to make you arrogant. It keeps you strong when challenges test you. Discipline ensures that the moment you work for does not slip away because of a lack of preparation or consistency. Talent without discipline is like a seed that never grows. It has potential but no harvest. Discipline waters that seed daily, nurtures it, and gives it the conditions to grow into something powerful. A talented person without discipline will always struggle to maintain success. But a disciplined person, even with less talent, will always progress. This is why the most successful people in any field are not always the most gifted. They are the ones who refuse to quit, who practice daily, who sacrifice distractions, and who discipline themselves to stay in the room long enough for success to become permanent. Discipline transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Most people believe greatness comes from extraordinary talent, luck, or opportunity, but the truth is that greatness is born out of consistent, disciplined effort applied over time. Ordinary effort done occasionally will not change a life, but ordinary effort repeated with discipline every single day compounds into something powerful. Success is not the result of one massive action. It is a result of countless small actions done with discipline until they build momentum. Discipline takes what looks simple and turns it into something remarkable. Think about the student who studies for an hour each day. 1 hour may not seem like much, but over weeks and months, the knowledge compounds, and that student rises above others who only studied at the last minute. Think about the person who saves a small amount of money each week. At first, it looks insignificant, but after years, discipline turns those small deposits into wealth. Think about the musician who practices scales daily, the athlete who trains before sunrise, or the entrepreneur who spends time each day improving their craft. What makes them extraordinary is not that they were born different, but that they chose discipline to elevate their effort. Ordinary effort is available to everyone. Anyone can do the basics, but very few choose to do them consistently. Discipline is the separator. Without discipline, ordinary effort remains ordinary because it is inconsistent and unfocused. With discipline, the same ordinary effort gains strength, focus, and power. That is why people who are not the most talented or gifted often surpass those who are, because they learn how to use discipline to maximize what they have. Talent is a bonus, but discipline is the foundation. Discipline also teaches patience. In a world where everyone wants instant results, discipline trains you to trust the process. Extraordinary results rarely show up immediately, and many people quit too soon because they can't see progress fast enough. But disciplined effort is never wasted. Every workout builds strength. Every page read builds knowledge. Every skill practiced builds mastery, even if the results are not visible right away. Discipline reminds you that growth is happening beneath the surface, and in time, that invisible effort becomes visible success. The transformation that discipline creates is not only external, but internal. It changes who you are as a person. When you discipline yourself to follow through daily, you build resilience, focus, and self-respect. You start to see yourself as someone who does not give up, someone who can be trusted to stay consistent, someone who can achieve difficult things. That internal transformation is what fuels the external result. Extraordinary success comes from people who first became extraordinary in discipline before their achievements were ever seen by the world. The beauty of discipline is that it does not require perfection. It only requires persistence. You do not need to be the best from the start. You only need to be willing to keep going. Every time you show up, you are multiplying the effect of your effort. Every time you push through discomfort, you are adding to the foundation of your future. Discipline makes the difference between someone who almost reaches their goals and someone who actually does. It is the bridge between wishing for success and living in success.